I think this is one of the saddest days in modern American history. This is the largest withdrawal and ending of healthcare in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their healthcare costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. And all of it is just to finance tax cuts for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations who don't even need it. I don't think we have ever seen or are prepared for how catastrophic this is set to be for a lot of people. And I think it's devastating. And they're talking about this as though it's some tax cut. Even the stuff that they're talking about, taxes on tips.
Wow, lies, lies, lies. We are going to get into that and more tonight. Folks, this is Christian Conservative, your trusted source for bold, unfiltered news and analysis on the issues that matter most to Christian conservatives. I'm KJ along with Michelle Talkington. How are you doing tonight, Michelle?
Oh, it's a big, beautiful day. I'm doing fantastic and looking forward to tomorrow. I'm great.
Yes, indeed. Wow. This has been, President Trump has not sat down. He has not stopped. He has been on go from the very second he was inaugurated. Actually, before then, because remember, he was doing stuff before he was even inaugurated. And it's just been win after win after win. We are going to get into all of it and why and how it matters to Christians most importantly. So from faith and family to politics and culture, we tackle the hard truths and stand firm on biblical principles. All right. So you guys, as you come in, hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out to a wider audience. So please smash that like button and subscribe. We are here to expose the lies, defend our values, and fight for truth in a world that desperately needs it. So subscribe now to stay informed, inspired, and empowered. All right. So as you guys saw at the top of the show, the big, beautiful bill has passed today, overcoming significant Democratic opposition and internal Republican hesitancy to hand the president a major legislative victory. The Republican-controlled House voted 218 to 214 to pass the measure shortly after Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wrapped up an hours-long speech, hours and hours, delaying the bill's advancement. And this is what the Democrats do. They just theater. It's all theater. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this?
I had this on. I knew this was going to happen. I knew the bill was going to pass. I had full confidence. This is what it's like to have a president who doesn't sleep because he's working. I mean, he's making the phone calls himself. He didn't have his wife's buddies, partners call people. No, he did the work himself. He talked to the statesmen. He talked to the congressmen. He talked to the senators. He had a mission. And even there's things in the bill that I don't agree with. And you spoke to the hesitancy. There are plenty of Republicans who say, look, I don't like this or that. But we knew we needed to get it across the finish line. And I guarantee there's going to be work done to scale back on some of the things in the bill that aren't going to work. But I was excited. You know what? It feels good to be the winning team. It feels good to win for the American people. And that clip with AOC, she had it right when she was talking about, her 17 million people, and then she changed it to Americans. Because she's right. She's not concerned about American citizens. She was talking about people, she had it right, people that were stealing, that were robbing Social Security, that were robbing Medicaid. And to talk about people that are going to go hungry, let's be honest, a lot of the people right now that are poor, and I've been there, done that. We needed assistance when I was a kid. They weren't starving as much as they were eating unhealthy foods.
Right.
So there's a difference between people going hungry that actually need a soup kitchen and people that are using the system and getting all manner of stuff that we, the taxpayer, are paying for. I'm tired of paying for it. We should keep it if it's not going to be used properly. And today, oh man, put a stamp on that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, she looks ridiculous. I mean, with her little whiny crybaby voice, and she's, this theater again, as if she's on the brink of tears. And you know what though, for the first time, I actually believe it, because these Democrats are seeing their power slip away. We know that all the fraud, all the waste, not just in the social services, but also USAID that was uncovered this week, it is a grift. It is a huge grift that they have been using for generations, okay? And now that President Trump has put a stop to it, and they're crying about, not because they want to help Americans, but because they see that their power and control and grift is slipping away. So, folks, you guys know this is going to be this. These people are going to be losing it for the next couple of weeks. Okay, this is just the beginning, and the mainstream media is probably going to give them a lot of cover for their fear mongering and misinformation, and they've already started. Here in this next clip is Byron Donalds, and he is talking to a reporter for the mainstream media that tried to do the spin on him, but old Byron, it doesn't work. He cut it short and corrected her right away. This is clip 1.
I was in Missouri. I spoke to actually a patient who voted for President Trump, a Republican voter who was not qualified for Medicaid until Missouri voted to expand it because of how low the wages there are for teachers, for nurses, for police officers. What do you say to those people? Are you worried that you cost them their vote?
No, actually, I'm not worried, because what we're also doing in this bill on the other side is we are expanding our economy. We are going to get far more investment into the United States. So whether it's Florida, Missouri, Utah, Texas, wherever you're talking about, California, people will be able to have a stronger economy, a more durable economy, so wages actually will go up. Remember what happened in Trump's first administration. Wages actually rose for working families. They were making $6,000 more adjusted for inflation. That is real value in the lives of people. So our philosophy is growing the economy, getting more people into the workforce. That actually helps to take down the burdens on the federal government. And the long run issue we have is we cannot borrow money at this velocity. We can't keep this going forever. We are going to have to slow down our borrowings. That is an empirical fact. If we don't do that, the bond rates for the U.S. government will go up, and that will mean everybody's borrowing rates. Families looking for a house, looking for a car, credit cards, small businesses looking for access to capital, their borrowing rates are going to go up if ours continue to go up.
Wow, he gave it to her, didn't he? Didn't he?
Rapid fire. Don't come at people. When will they learn? They can't keep coming at people that have the facts. The facts don't lie. And when we have them, we can rapid fire. And we don't need the AOC crocodile tears or what is going to be, alligator tears. And I'm loving alligator Alcatraz. I'm about to get the t-shirt myself. But yeah, we don't need that. Straight facts.
Yes.
So they're trying to spin it, but we're actually all ready for the spin, and we're ready to spin it right back at them. So go ahead, Congressman. I'm excited.
Me too. I am so excited. I was so happy that this bill passed. This is historic, and I don't think any of us, as happy as we are, we won't be able to really understand the historic nature of this until years to come. What President Trump has been able to do with this ragtag team of Republicans who were all over the place, who didn't want to work, who now are some saying that they're going to be done. This is the legislation that's going to be passed now, and that's it. They're done for the remainder of his presidency. These people, he wrangled them all together and he got the job done. And he's been doing such a great job. And let's talk about what Byron Donalds, schooled that reporter on, because they always want to use our money instead of letting us have the most, majority of our money, our hardworking money, and giving us the choice to do what we want to do with it. So, of course, we talked about this earlier today on the pop-up on Pop and Politics. Laura, I saw you say you saw me on there. Yes, we were on there just talking about the fantastic jobs report that came out today. 147,000 jobs added in June, beating projections for the fourth consecutive month. Unemployment falls to 4.1%, lowest since February. Average hourly wage up to $36.30, a 3.7% increase. This is why this bill matters. This is what we want. Americans want, hardworking Americans.
Well, what's so important about that? So when the Biden administration would talk about its jobs reports, and that's increase of jobs, those were federal jobs by and large. Maryland was one of those states that it thrives off of federal employment, which means it thrives off of taking our money, like me who works in construction, or the teachers or the waiters, average hardworking or blue collar workers, taking our money and then giving it towards federal jobs, and a lot of them that are unnecessary. And I love federal, employment. There are some that are very necessary, but here it's like sport. Oh, let's just create another building, a couple 100,000, jobs that we don't need, like boistering the IRS. Right. So let's be real with it. But when this administration talks about jobs increasing, it's us. It's the small businesses that are being created. It's us that are hiring and expanding. It's large businesses that are saying, okay, we can stay here in the US and let's put some more jobs out there. It's real, authentic American ingenuity and growth. That's what the last administration lost. That's what the Democrats crying don't understand. They never will. But I'm so proud of us for doing that right now. I'm so happy for this administration and doing it so fast that the poor liberals and the poor Democrats, their heads are spinning because they don't know how they're going to survive just to the end of this year. Right. They don't know what they're going to do.
Right. And guess what? The best, I think partly one of the best parts of this bill is defunding Planned Parenthood. So the passage of this big, beautiful bill has not only solidified much of President Trump's agenda, but it has also broken the minds of many Democrats, particularly surrounding Planned Parenthood. So now with this bill being passed, it will strip Planned Parenthood of around $500 million of taxpayer money that was being forced to subsidize the abortion industry. Folks, this is monumental, not just by our standards, but even Planned Parenthood has come out and said they are going to be hurting and may have to close as many as 1/3 of their physical abortion facilities. I mean, I know you are a huge pro-lifer, Michelle.
They get them out of the hood because that's where they live. They set up shop in the hood. They set up shop in Black communities and brown communities, talking about how much good they do next to, the Dollar Trees and everything else. Like they set up, sorry, Dollar Tree, I had to throw you out. But no. These facilities, like, where can we find low income and set up shop and take federal dollars and really destroy communities? They destroy them. They don't just come in at helping. This private organization should have never been giving our money, which they should not have gotten in the first place. So it's one of the best things that I ever heard, and maybe they'll focus on actual health care. And let me just tell you, this is also giving a great big definition to what we believe health care is, what we believe taking care of people looks like, not what you're doing over there with your Dr. Kevorkians and everything else. No, Planned Parenthood, they're going to be funded. Let's just be honest. Because there's enough crazy people out there, enough millionaires and billionaires, the ones they don't like, that are going to give them all the private money. It's just that they're going to have to rely on that instead of government handouts.
You're right. And speaking of government handouts, I mean, It's just shameful, some of these people, on my timeline today on social media, and you guys know my story, at least. I think, Michelle, yours is similar. Many of our family members and friends, for me at least, are on the left. And so my Facebook timeline was full of people upset about the passing of this big, beautiful bill. I mean, they were, they were upset. They were furious. Okay. And they're complaining about the so-called Medicaid cuts. This is what they were complaining about. And I'm not just talking about women. There were men all up and down my timeline upset about food stamps, talking about food stamps are going to be cut, Medicaid going to be cut. And these are able-bodied people.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's so shameful. It really is. Because let me tell you something. I know generations of people that have been on Medicaid. Okay. Yeah. It's not grandma, great grandma, grandma, then the next generation, all coming down the line have been on Medicaid. And when we had the COVID and they were passing out those checks, it kind of got even the younger generation, because even young ones were getting these checks. Like, I'm talking about college age. Yeah, we're getting these checks. And then they would start saying, oh, it's nice getting this check from the government, and so on and so forth. So I don't understand how anyone can say this is okay, that you have generations of family that have always been on government assistance. That is not what this is for.
KJ, how do we understand it? The same people want reparations. The same people believe it's an entitlement. It's owed to them, whether they work or they don't work. They feel like the government's money is owed to them, not realizing the government's money is taking it from the people that work. Right. It's not even really the government's money. Let's be honest. It's ours that they're supposed to manage, and Congress was supposed to manage well. And they've blown it over the last 40 years. I mean, they just burn it up for no reason. So I can believe it. I see it. I hear it. And yeah, it's in my family. You're right. Generations that have taught their children how to use the system, what forms to fill out, and how to stay on it for 20 plus years. And some while working, some while not working. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I see people hustle and say, well, I'm going to give you my EBT card. I'm going to give you my this if you give me that. I'll trade you cash, and then you can use my food stamps here. And they do. This is a bartering tool, but it's like a game. And I see the same people go into the clubs that are getting their hair done, their nails done, look fantastic. I'm like, why are you on public assistance and you are partying when you could be working? It makes no sense. Those are the people that are going to be hurting from this. And the fact that they're going to be kicked out does not bother me, not one day, not 1 minute. I'm not losing sleep over it, because real people that need it, deserve it, will have access to it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, they don't realize that by them, using the system, and they really aren't supposed to be using it, they're taking away from people who really need it, like widows, like the elderly, like people who can't work. Those are the people that actually are supposed to have this assistance, not, people who just don't want to work. Men who just don't want to work, women who just don't want to work, people who are just trying to game the system. It's terrible. I mean, I saw a video of a young black boy, and he was talking to somebody, and he was telling them how his mom, he was like 11, and he was talking about how he was told that, you can't work. If you work too much, then you won't be able to get your government check. And it was sad. It was so sad, because I know people like this.
They live in my neighborhood. They're down the street. My family. I know them. I mean, I've been with them. I'm like, are we having this conversation right now? But that's also a legislative and leadership issue. That is when we have, again, this goes into the communities, Black communities, and all their leaders that want to keep families separated and destroyed. Because the reality is there are strings attached to some of these programs, that you have to be single. It is only for you if you're single. It's not there set up to help married couples with children that are struggling where it should be. We should have better definitions to what a family in need is, what it looks like, and family, not single mother or single father. We should be looking at how to help families, the elderly, those really in need. And we don't do that.
We don't.
This is clean up on aisle one. This is the first step.
Yeah, folks. Actually, President Trump, as many of you have said in the comments, is speaking tonight at a rally. I mean, he's so excited about this passage. We have a clip of this, I believe. Okay, there you are. Let's see here.
This is happening just in time for one of the biggest events in the history of our country. Exactly 1 year from tomorrow, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of America's founding with a birthday party, the likes of which you have never seen before. 2 years ago, I came to Iowa and promised that the festivities would begin right here at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. And tonight, here I am. Okay, promises kept.
Yeah.
I love that.
Promises kept. It's an honor, too. It's an honor because you've been with me from the beginning.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, it is an honor. You've been with me from the beginning. It was without doubt. In fact, I had some moments when I said maybe they might not, fake stories were put out there like, I don't like corn. I don't like corn. I love corn. They give you fake news. I said, you think that's going to hurt me in Iowa? My numbers went up. No, I don't know. I can't figure you people out. This evening, we're officially launching America 250, an enormous year-long nationwide celebration of our heritage. It's really also a celebration of our flag, our great American flag, and our glorious American freedom.
All right. Yeah, there you have it. I mean, he needs to take a victory lap. I mean, all that he has been through, all that man has been through. Can you imagine the strength and perseverance you have to do what he has done, to continue to push? And the craziest thing about this that is not said enough, President Trump doesn't have to do this. He's already a multimillionaire. Now he's more multimillionaire. He just won all that money from CBS for suing them for what they did during the election. We'll talk about that a little later. But he's a multimillionaire, probably billionaire.
Yeah, billionaire.
He doesn't have to do this. He's the only president that actually went into the presidency and lost money versus the Obamas, the Bushes, the Clintons, who came out with more money than they went in with. I don't understand how people.
That's in his DNA,
Yeah.
And biblically, you have to understand we were all created for something, for a purpose. God gave us a purpose. He knew us when we were in our mother's womb. He knew what he equipped us for. He knew the path that he would put us on. Now, sometimes we deviate from that. Some of us never meet the potential that he gave us. But what we see acting out right now in real life with a lot of leaders is God. Like, he was born for this. Mm-hmm. He was created to take this. Some of us don't sleep. Some of us can take hits, what was that old commercial? Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Right. Like, some of us can take that. President Trump is one of those people. And I believe whether he was born into the family that he was, of course, we know that his family was already in big business before he got his, what he says, a small loan, but he built on that. He was savvy. He was smart. And I see that in his children as well. They were just created for that and put on this earth at this time. I don't think we realize how important it is when we were born. He was born now for this, for such a time as this. KJ, you were born in this time for a reason, and myself, and even our chatters. We were here for a reason. So I am so proud. I'm glad we got it right. We voted right. We exposed what the enemy is doing. And he is literally going into the enemy's camp and taking back what he stole. And he's saying, we're doing this right. And he's doing it with a vengeance. This is like my Die Hard movies. This is like Die Hard. This is like Trump with a vengeance, and I'm here for it. It's my favorite Christmas movie. Like this Trump administration is going to be my favorite holiday movie. He's bringing us money. He's bringing us gifts. I mean, he's nonstop.
Yeah, he is. We have a super chat from Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat. Says this is nothing but communism. They need most of us on the government dole. Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, Kung Fu CJ, because I want to talk a little bit about that. The biblical responsibility to work. If Thessalonians 3:10 says, if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. So the Bible is clear. God honors diligence, not dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the Bible also talks about, our generations, of our families, and goes through different, biblical characters who had different things happen to their generations. And so when I see these people who have generation after generation on welfare, that is not a blessing. That is a curse. It's not good.
No, they need us to be the tail.
Mm-hmm.
They need that for control. That is the setup before they take over and have us all addicted to that or forced to use something that's from the government. It never works. That's why that the communist that's trying to become the governor, being in charge, or the mayor of New York City,
a man dummy.
That happened. And President Trump said that when he was speaking earlier. He called him out. He called him what he is. He's not a threat to President Trump, like he's trying to, go back and forth. No, you're not a threat to the president. You're a threat to all of us. That's why you're not going to be elected. That's why we're pushing back. Communism, and not just communists. Again, this goes back to the nation of Islam. This is extremist. This is a combination of all of it. So we push back, we fight back. And this big, beautiful bill, I think, is going to be helpful. It's putting us in the right path to say enough's enough. I'm with you in the comments. The Federal Reserve, there's so many things that we now need to say, we've had enough. We can do this better. We can do this right.
Yeah. And Kung Fu CJ with the $20 super chat. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Folks, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a wider audience, and subscribe. We are trying to grow this channel. The goal is 5,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. We really think we can get there, but only with your help. So hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you so much, Kung Fu CJ. And again, just from a biblical standpoint, Christians are called to be contributors to society, not long-term consumers of government handouts. And please, I'm not talking about people who, really need, like elderly, or, people who just, you can't work, you need help. That's not what I'm talking about. Because guess what? My mom was there, single mom, 3 kids. She needed help for a small period of time, and she got assistance from the government. But then she worked. She worked. She went back to school. She worked. She wasn't on it for her whole life. And thank God that I'm not on it. And, I hope my kids aren't on it. So, it's not something meant for generation after generation to be dependent on. And this is what the Democrats want. And so again, able-bodied believers should rise up, work, and help others, not expect Caesar to do what Christ called us to do. And this is what this government dependency is all about. All right. We will continue to follow this, folks. Just buckle up, because the left is about to go berserk over this.
They're like you guys, I'm such a movie buff. It's the theater, it's the actress in me, but I pictured the fembots. If you guys remember Austin Powers, there's a scene where their heads start popping off. Steam starts coming from everywhere and anywhere. And that's what I'm watching them do on interview after interview. They are literally exploding, and they can't keep their emotions in control. They're not sure which emotions to use because they're trying to plead with an audience. So some of them are sad, some of them are angry, and we're going to fight back, but they don't know which lane to go to get support, because the bottom line is they're with the 10%. We're with the 90%. We're right. And the average everyday American understands we see through it, and they are losing their ever-loving minds right now.
Oh, yeah. We got another super chatter here. JT Thompson, thank you so much. Yeah, it says, call it an Independence Day donation. Love the country. Served it for 40 years and love your channel. Keep up the good work, ladies. Oh, my. Thank you so much, JT Thompson. Thank you. And thank you for your service.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about why the Democrats are freaking out, particularly about this Medicaid. So there was a study done in 2023 by the Center for Immigration Studies, and it basically shows that not even counting the millions of illegal aliens Biden let into the U.S., most of this money has gone to illegals. Take a look at this image 3 that we have here. So do we have that image? Let's see here. Ooh, okay. Oh, there we are. Okay, so hope you guys can see that. But it actually, let me see. Do we have image 3? There it is. Okay. Yeah, 59% of illegal aliens get some kind of taxpayer funded. Oops. Actually, if we don't have it, we can take it down.
There it is.
Okay. Yeah, 59% of illegal aliens get some kind of taxpayer funded welfare. Okay. Immigrant headed households get 54%. US born households get 39%. So again, this thing tells the tale. 22% of illegal aliens get some type of taxpayer funded cash assistance. They're leading all these numbers. 42% of illegal aliens get taxpayer funded food assistance. 42% of illegals get taxpayer funded Medicaid. None of this is talked about in the mainstream media. And this is why the Democrats are so upset. It's not Americans that they're upset aren't getting the assistance. The main people that are using this, or a big portion of it, I should say, are illegals. And now we see why they opened the borders like they did.
That's why I said at the beginning with her old crybaby self, AOC, she was right. She wasn't talking about Americans. She was talking about people who live here, people, citizens, non-citizens. Illegal immigrants should not get any of those services, frankly. And now if there is a county or community or, you name it, that wants to have a clinic that is open, that wants to have the food pantries that are open, that are giving assistance. But why am I paying for somebody who is not supposed to be here? Why am I paying? And this is an extended period of time. My issue is not in having some of our monies go for a short period of time, but we just talked about people that learn how to get on the system and stay on for decades.
Right.
And so when we're seeing this and we're seeing these high concentrations of illegal aliens getting the money, and they're not talking about what I'm interested about in that study is the population and the demographics of the cities. This is blue cities. These are sanctuary states. So these are the heavy stronghold Democrat areas that are getting this money and that are giving this money because of their policies that are pro-illegal alien, pro-illegal immigration. California, Maryland, Chicago, we can say them all. That's who's getting the money. So it's not just the facts that they're high percentages, more than American citizens who need it, who are falling on real hardships, whose families are born here, work here, pay the taxes. So it should go to them. This is illegal aliens usurping what they shouldn't have, and they have no entitlement to it. I am tired of politicians talking about they're entitled to, they are due. You are not due anything but a ticket home unless you're doing it the right way, unless you're waitlisted, unless you filed the paperwork. That's going to end.
Yeah. And so why it goes to show, in my opinion, we have President Trump's America First agenda, and then in opposition is the Democrats' anti-American agenda. And it's not just us saying this, the data shows it. So a recent poll came out about pride in being an American. This is image 4 that we have. And it showed that 92% of Republicans are extremely or very proud to be an American. only 36% of Democrats feel the same way. So this is why you see Democrats crashing out for illegal immigrants. They don't care about this country or the foundation on which it was built. They have no allegiance to the people or the nation. Their only allegiance is to power in any way they can hold on to it or obtain it.
Yeah.
And they will lie, cheat, manipulate, and crush anyone to do it, even if it means destroy this country so they can rebuild it in the best way it interests them. It's sad. It really is.
And it's in our schools. So they run our schools, they run our school boards, they run the teachers unions. So they are teaching the generations to hate America. They've got influencers who are actively teaching children and young adults to despise where they come from, to despise their nation, which is the greatest nation on earth. They don't respect the people that fought and died or served, like JT. They don't respect any of our service members. They don't respect our firemen, our police officers. No respect. I don't know that they respect their parents even. I mean, I've seen some really disrespectful children who are here. I'm like, man, if I could just drop you off for a day, let's get you a summer camp. I will get you a summer camp in Somalia. I will get you a summer camp in Haiti. I will do a summer camp wherever you want to be that you think is better, because it is not. We're going to have to change that. And this big, beautiful bill, again, there's so many opportunities. School choice is going to be an opportunity to change that. It's sad. It's disheartening. And really, the only times we seem to be proud from the Democrats is if they're winning, historically speaking, in large wars. And they're like, oh, we did this. We defeated it. We think back to 9/11, where Democrats, Republicans, Americans in general were saying, yes, we're going after Osama bin Laden, right? They were proud at that time. And now it's fallen away. How do we recover? I don't know. But seeing President Trump today and seeing those rallies, if you ever get an opportunity, when he went to Saudi Arabia, they had more respect for Americans, and they were playing I'm proud to be an American when President Trump was there. They have more respect than what our kids have.
Yeah. And did you see that comment here? I want to put that back up. Arlene Love, she says, I'm an insurance agent. I had an illegal immigrant apply for $500,000 life policy. She had been in North Carolina for 2 years, unemployed, received $5,000 a month in SSI, and owned a 2023 luxury SUV. I was livid. I would have been too.
I'm livid.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow. But, these stories, again, this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon. And when we talk about this stuff, we were saying how there were receipts posted, online showing some of these illegal immigrants getting food stamps, had like $6,000 food stamp bill. I mean, this stuff is out there, to be seen, and we know this is going on. But the Democrats, they say fake news. They say it's not true. We know this stuff is true. But going back to what I said, it is because they don't care about Americans. Right. Democrats do not care about us. Okay. And I'll prove it to you. So we know recently, we talked about it here, this Mandani, or what I say, Mandummy, guy that's running in New York City. He just won for the Democrat Party, the mayoral candidate. He's the mayoral candidate for Democrat in New York City. Well, he is total socialist. I mean, total socialist. And it's not just from our mouths. He actually says he is a socialist. And I'll even go so far as saying Marxist. He is a Marxist.
Full blown.
Well, former President Barack Obama has been meeting with him. Okay. So President Barack Obama sent out a call to action against President Trump's big, beautiful bill today. He sent out a post on X urging voters to call their representatives to tell them to vote no on the big, beautiful bill. This is all while he is in his mansion in Hawaii, of all, it's expensive there. Okay. But I digress. Nonetheless, he was meeting with Mandani for multiple times last week, and I believe this week. And these people do not care about America. Take a look at this. This is clip 2.
Some more great GPS tracking information from Tony Saruga. Looks like Mom Donnie, who just won the New York City Democrat primary for mayor there, appears to have been at Obama's place in Washington, D.C. twice in just 6 weeks. Who else was there? Leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. And if you don't know who they are, you might want to study up on their history. They've been outlawed in Egypt, Syria, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Jordan, and Austria under their anti-terrorism laws. So yeah, just those guys and what appears to be a couple of Iranian operatives, both who are linked to Majid Farahani because they met with him in Venezuela last summer. So sure, this is going to go great for New York City. About the way it's gone for the US since Obama was president, but on steroids.
Wow. So now is it starting to become clearer? Michelle, what are your thoughts on that video?
Oh, it was clear to me when I heard his first speech. When I looked him up, it was clear. And I said that, and I've said that to people where they thought, well, you can't just assume he's this or that. I was like, I'm gonna assume he's an extreme Islamist. I'm going to assume that. Have you heard him? I'm gonna assume he's a communist, full blown. I'm gonna assume that he's here for the full destruction with help of the United States. Yeah, I'm gonna assume it. I'm gonna say it out loud. Because that's what it is. And I'm going to call a spade, I'm going to call demonic, evil. There are things that he is as anti-American as I've ever heard. And he's got, unfortunately, a generation of fools that have been programmed to believe that's what we need. Because they're so desperate for something new and the Democrat Party, that they just don't know what else to do. They're excited. He's young. I said the same thing. We all were, not all, but a lot of us with Barack Obama was the same way, so well-spoken. The same way with Wes Moore. Oh, he sounds so great. He looks so great. But the policies are important. Look who he's meeting with. Look who's propping him up. And listen to his real messaging. And he's not even ashamed. This New York, he does not hold back or hide his disdain for our current system of government, his disdain for the Constitution.
Right. Yeah. I mean, folks, this is a spiritual warfare we have going on here. This is a spiritual warfare. They are trying to push an Islamic takeover of the United States. Take a look here at this image 1. Okay. We have here on January 12th, 2016, while Barack Obama was president, Iran's IRGC seized a U.S. Navy boat. Iran released footage showing American sailors humiliated, some kneeling and others in tears before Iranian forces. 5 days later, on January 17th, Obama sent $400 million in pallets of cash to Iran, followed by another $1.3 billion through additional transactions. These are not the acts of a person in leadership in government that has America's interest first. It is not. And then we have this image 2 here, where Barrack is teaming up with Bush to slam Trump for dismantling USAID. So, now we have, the Obamas and the Bushes, or this with George Bush getting together, and they're upset because President Trump has put a stop to this fraudulent USAID and going all this money, all this taxpayer dollars going there. They don't want that because they know that this lessens and weakens their power. But again, USAID doesn't help Americans. It helps non-Americans. Why are they so concerned? Michelle?
They're not, and the jig is up, and I think, and I'm going to shout out Kung Fu CJ. Our super chat just now is basically what I was saying and going to say. Obama was undercover. Man, dummy is out right now. Yes, that's it. They were hiding so well for the years with their self-righteous, I was a great president. And right now, the truth is being revealed. Not only are we uncovering their dirty deeds, but we're cutting off their friends and we're cutting off their funding. Because let's be honest, President Trump has pretty much backhanded the Obamas, and the same with Clinton's. Same with the Bush tribe, who thought they were going to carry on and be the it people forever for the Republican Party. Now Republicans have said, no, it's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. We don't have to agree with you. And they are also scared and upset. And one of the reasons is because Trump's money, like we said at the beginning, is his money. Right. He doesn't need to fight for what they are getting right now in kickbacks and endorsements. And he doesn't need to stay on top. He doesn't need to stay relevant. He just is. President Trump just is, and he has leaders in place. And to that point, with under Obama, he was also a coward.
Right.
He's a coward. So not only is he underhanded, I heard his early speeches where he was pro-American, and he was the deporter in chief. He sent people packing. We didn't talk about that then, and they're not talking about that now, but that's the reality. But now that things are out in the open, money is getting cut off, and real leadership is cutting those ties that bound those previous presidents to overseas deals and underhanded dirty money. Now that that's getting cut off with Doge and with real leadership, I'm happy for it, and they are angry. And now they're trying to be boisterous as if they're the men, they're going to help us. They're not doing a daggone thing. They're not going to do anything. They do not show strength. For me, they are weak. So I'm not worried about them, but they should be worried about the gravy train, because they're going to be irrelevant.
Exactly. And so in what as we mentioned earlier about this Muslim Brotherhood. So again, former President Obama and Ma'am Dami, who's running in NYC, he just won the Democrat mayoral candidate. He is that. Met multiple times over the last 6 weeks, along with the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay. Now pay attention to that. So folks, again, as you guys know, we talk about this all the time. Yeah. We're wrestling with spiritual warfare. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. The Muslim Brotherhood's long-term plan is to dismantle America from within. And it proves we are not just facing political battles, but spiritual warfare. And folks, Christians, Bible believers, you better wake up. We need to wake up to these schemes of the enemy, which often come dressed as peaceful and so sweet and loving. And I want to help all. I want everyone to be fed and all this crap. Policies of multicultural tolerance, when it's the exact opposite. Take a look at this way, the way this is broken down in this next clip. This is clip 3.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brigitte Gabrielle. I am holding in my hand the Muslim Brotherhood Plan for North America, written in 5/22/1991. This is their plan, titled مذكرة تفسيرية للهدف الاستراتيجي العام في أمريكا الشمالية. This is about their explanation on how they're going to take over the West, their 100-year plan to infiltrate and dominate the West and establish an Islamic government on earth. This plan was presented as evidence in the Holy Land Foundation trial, the largest terrorism trial ever in the history of the United States, where our government handed down 108 guilty verdicts to Muslim Americans and Muslim organizations in America, raising money in the United States and sending it overseas to support terrorist activity overseas. And I'm going to read you a paragraph about their intention in the United States and how they describe their work. Number 4 of the paragraph is titled Understanding the Role of the Muslim Brother in North America. And it says, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religion.
Wow.
There you go. Again, that was Brigitte Gabrielle. She's a Lebanese American activist, and she is very well read in Middle Eastern affairs. Okay, and she's talking about this. Before we get into this, Michelle, I want to acknowledge our super chatter here. All right, let's see here. We have Arlene Love.
Hi, Arlene.
Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, I always enjoy you ladies. This is the first time I've watched live. May the Lord expand your borders. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, folks. As you guys come in, hit that like button. You don't know how much that helps us. It helps to get this video out to a wider audience, helps YouTube to know, hey, this is a great channel and we think this should be pushed out to a wider audience. So please continue to do that. Hit the like button as you come in and subscribe. We are really trying. Our goal is to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. We need your help. You can only help us get there. Share this broadcast in a DM on your social media, on your timelines. Share, and subscribe. So let's get into that. What did you think of that, Michelle?
I mean, we need to understand as Christians that's always been the enemy's plan, and it doesn't matter what the religion is or what the face is. That is his plan. It's to destroy us from within, and the fact that they have it written and printed should come as no surprise. The difference between what they stated, right, and what the left tries to portray Christians as. We are not on a crusade the way old time crusades in history were run. We are not going through communities and slashing them and killing them and taking their children and enforcing Sharia law and all. We're not doing that. We're simply saying at one point, every knee will bow. Every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. That's what we believe. But we're not forcing you to believe it. We give you an opportunity to believe it. And in this nation, because we're Christian, we allow you to believe whatever you want to believe. And we pray for you. That is not the same as this plan. This is by force. This is infiltrating by force. And not only do they have that plan, the Chinese have had that plan for more than when this was printed.
The Communist Party actively
setting up stations, communities, the Communist Party, the Chinese have their own police forces enforcing their people here on American soil. And they brought over able-bodied 20 military-aged men during the last administration by the thousands. So now we have to be worried about this Muslim Brotherhood, which go get them, DOJ. I mean, we got Kash Patel, we have people in charge now. And I said, okay, I'm going to wait for this because they're not fools and they're not going to sit back and watch this happen. So we're going to see the left lose their mind too when they come down on this. But the Chinese government is here doing the same thing. Can you imagine these are wars that are going to go on against the American people. And once that's done, this is going to be a war against Christianity.
Right. And did you hear what she said? So that Muslim Brotherhood's plan, it actually mirrors Satan's strategy. Deceive, infiltrate, and destroy. And we always talk about, on Pop and Politics, I think I've brought it up on here before, how in 1943, the Communist Manifesto was put into the record of the government record, and it's very similar. I mean, they had a list of, I think, like 43 or some list of things that they wanted to do to take over the U.S. And many of it was to infiltrate the media, infiltrate schools.
Separate children from families. So it's
right.
Trading schools, it's forcing families, it's forcing moms into the workplace. That's part of their deal, is get women separated from husbands, separated from children. So then you control the children, and once you get that one generation, we're lost. If you've ever read this, I suggest you do, especially for our chatters.
Right. Oh, it's in 1963. It's called 45 Communist Goals. So it was January 10th of 1963. Congressman Albert S. Erlong Jr. from Florida read the list of 45 communist goals for America into the congressional record. And I mean, it's very similar to what she just said the Muslim Brotherhood's plan was. So again, and you know what? The number one thing they always try to attack are families. Families. Because they know that breaking up families, if they are able to dissolve and get rid of the males and the mother and father strong role models, then they know once the family breaks down, then the community, then the country, so this is crazy. And I want to continue on this. She had some more to say about this. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 4.
Organizations that they had set up in the United States in order for them to advance their plan in America. And here are the names of some of the organizations. They give the names of 29 organizations set up in America to do that. So I'm going to read you some of the names. ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America. If the name sounds familiar, it's because ISNA used to be advisors to President Obama about Middle East policy. So now you understand where signing the nuclear deal with Iran came from and why Obama was all over himself trying to appeal to the Iranian regime, even sending them pallets of cash in the middle of the night on an airplane, landing in an airport in the middle of the night, millions and billions of our tax dollars. Number 2 on the list is the MSA, the Muslim Student Association. The Muslim Student Association has chapters all over American universities. So today when you are watching all these demonstrators on our American universities screaming death to the Jews, we hate the Jews, from the river to the sea, Gaza will be free or Palestine will be free. Now you understand where that is coming from. Number 8 on the list is the North American Islamic Trust. The North American Islamic Trust owns 90% of mosques in the United States. Number 22 on the list is IAP, Islamic Association for Palestine, which later became CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. Now, when you...
Wow. So again, this matters, folks. This matters. We have to know our history. We must continue to talk about these types of things and know our history, because when we hear calls for unity and tolerance that compromise our national security and biblical values, we must vote these people out. We must. Otherwise, we won't have a country.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
If we can galvanize and get enough people registered to vote and actually get out there to vote and get out there and care, right? The ones in our group here, all of us chatters, and again, shout out to all of our super chatters and everybody is out there. I love having you guys here because we feel like, and I know it's not just me, KJ. I think I can honestly speak for both of us. We feel surrounded by friends and like-minded, common sense individuals, but there's a majority out there, and they're the ones that go to the polls, or they're the ones that are the loudest, or they're the media organizations that are outright owned by socialist thinking or far left ideological people. They're the ones that are running things that got away with the last administration, and we get complacent. We get our wins and our highs. We sit back. We get satisfied when things are going well. And that's when these organizations are behind the scenes working harder. So while things are right now, the big, beautiful bill is amazing. I'm on a high. I'm excited. But we can't slack on that. We can't just ride the high. We have to know that, like the Muslim Brotherhood, like the Communist Party, they're willing to wait 100 years. They're willing to wait 200 years. They are willing for us to destroy ourselves in the next couple of generations. So we have to be teaching this generation and doing the same thing on the opposite side. we have to be prepared and call it out when we see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is what we're here doing, folks. This is what we do here at Christian Conservative. We call these things out and we provide a biblical perspective on these issues, because that is very important. It's not just about politics. It's about what God says, and Christians need to come together and look to the Bible on many of these things. You know, I know a lot of people say separation of church and state, separation of church and state. But as you can see, they know. See, they're not separating the spiritual realm from politics, as you can see. They know that the two go hand in hand. And the reason why they keep pushing us as Christians, as followers of Jesus Christ, they don't want us to connect the two, because they know there's power within that. When we understand that God is in control of all of this, and then when we understand that the biblical principles are that should guide our lives, family, you know, working, all of this stuff, and we connect the two, we connect it all, you wouldn't follow behind the Democrats. And so this is why they want it separate. This is exactly why they want it separate. And folks, as we're talking about this, this Islamic, this communist infiltration of America, President Trump was just talking about it while he was at the rally. He's currently at this rally. Take a look here. He's talking about getting communists out of our politics.
And as you know, recently we've seen some of our political system attempting to overthrow the timeless American principles and other pillars of our liberty, and replace them with some of the most noxious ideas in human history, ideas that have been proven false. Members of Congress and even former presidents have been openly embracing vile creeds such as socialism, Marxism, and straight-up communism. In New York, they're trying to elect a communist, Zoran Mamdani, the guy who wants to defund the police, take over the stores and run the stores, and have the people hand out goods. And when everything falls apart, it always does. It always works that way. It never has worked any other way. Anarchy and dictatorships prevail. This guy is a communist at the highest level, and he wants to destroy New York. I love New York, and we're not going to let him do that. Generations of Americans before us did not shed their blood only so that we could surrender our country to Marxist lunatics on the eve of our 250th year. As President of the United States, I'm proclaiming here and now that America is never going to be communist in any way, shape, form, and that includes New York City.
There it is. We were just talking about that. Wow.
In any way, shape, or form, we are not going to accept communism. Not as long as there are patriots like the ones in this group, not as long as I'm here, not as long as there's people to push back. And I dare say other nations know that. They know that about our military. I think they're afraid of that too. Not only do we have the largest militia on the ground in regular citizens with a Second Amendment right, but we have true patriots that are in our military that I think, and I know a lot of service members, a lot of friends of mine are Capitol Police or Secret Service or former police officers. And the reality is they've told me over and over again, if it comes down to it, I'm an American. If it comes down to it, I'm going to protect this nation. When it comes down to it, they're going to fight to keep communism out of this country. Right. While that spirit of Americanism, of patriotism survives, we're going to be okay. But that's why this infiltration is so dangerous. That's why not paying attention to that, those sleeper cells that are here. And when you send, fighting military age men over from other nations, that's a problem. Right. That's a problem. But the president is right. It's our nation right now while we can keep it, and we're going to keep it.
Absolutely. And in order to keep it, as we say all the time here, we must return to God or face destruction. It's as simple as that. We need a revival of biblical values, national repentance, and bold Christian leadership. Because guess what? As I mentioned before, we cannot fight spiritual threats like the Muslim Brotherhood with political correctness. We just can't. And this is why they're trying to convince us that we should keep it separate. because they know the power of God and the power of Christians. They know it, and they don't want us to connect the two to defend. But we must do it.
We have to, and we have to defeat the lie. There is no separation of church and state. I have heard people preach it like it is actually in the Constitution. It is not. It is. They're so confused on that. It was a protection of Christians and Christian denominations. It was not a separation. And the reality is the biggest separation, or the bigger issue, is when we tied up the 501c3 status to churches. That was the problem. So there's this just outright lie. Outright lie. Pastors have bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. They've been threatened into it. They believe it. They've also believed the Democrat Party. So I don't know. There's a lot of, pastors that we have to pray for. And if you're Democrat, that's fine. But I need you to start thinking on principle. You need to vote biblically. You need to teach biblically. And that's my bottom line for anybody and everybody. It's got to be biblical. We have to bring it back to a biblical worldview. And we'll see in history when we had that, and nations that have that, they thrive, they succeed. And we're one of the last nations that has that. At least that has that in writing, that has those values that you can actually lend back in the private writings of Thomas Jefferson and the private writings of George Washington. We can see what they believed and how they created this nation. We see our foundation in Christianity, and we have to fight to keep that. So bring that battle.
Yeah, no, I agree. Want to switch gears a little bit here, folks. And turn to the FDA. So the FDA just announced a new safety warning label will be put on all of its mRNA COVID vaccines, citing an extremely high risk in myocarditis and long-term heart effects in young men. Take a look at this. This is clip 5.
Thank you all for coming. I'm going to be discussing the safety label update for myocarditis associated with mRNA COVID vaccines, which we just put forward. This came out on June 25th, 2025. The FDA approved a required updated warning, which is a class warning for all mRNA COVID-19 vaccines in conjunction with the manufacturers. I'm going to walk you through the updated warning and the basis for the warning. First of all, I'd like to thank David Caslow and the vaccine team and Richard Forshee and the pharmacovigilance team for writing, coordinating, and deploying this safety label change. Also like to note this SLC was initiated prior to my joining the agency. And note, I'm not using the FDA branch abbreviations in the hopes that this presentation will be more accessible to the general public. The updated safety label. The updated safety label for the mRNA COVID vaccines harmonizes the age range across products and adds additional data about the adverse event of myocarditis and what we know. It's based on 2 factors. It's based first on the unadjusted crude incident rate from the 2023 to 2024 formulation, and it's also based on persistent and concerning cardiac MR findings. So this is a slide that we put together. This is the FDA analysis of the BEST system, which is an observational data system that captures myocarditis and pericarditis following immediately afterwards, the first 7 days, COVID-19 mRNA vaccination. And what you see here is that even in 2023, 2024, the last year for which we have data, you see a rate of myo and pericarditis of 8 out of 1 million in all persons in this age range. And in the highest risk demographic group, young men between the ages of 12 and 24, it's about 27 per million. Notably, the BEST data set does not allow us to disambiguate the risk by product, and as such, this is a class mRNA safety label. The second piece of evidence that is captured in the new safety label update is some concerning findings we've noted with late gadolinium enhancement. Now, late gadolinium enhancement is a radiographic abnormality seen on cardiac resonance imaging, and this is how it's been described prior to in the literature in the context of myocarditis. Patchy myocardial and focal subepicardial enhancement as an expression of potentially irreversible injury is how it's been described. The FDA notably funded a study led by Jane and colleagues in 2024.
Wow. Michelle, what are your thoughts on that announcement?
Well, I think it's too little too late. And I think instead of giving me an announcement with an additional warning label that reminds us that our sons are going to drop dead when they're playing football, despite the fact that they're aged 18 to 24, don't worry, there's nothing to see here, folks. They should be pulling the product from the market, period. The warning label should be, do not use under any circumstances. We lied, our bad. That should be the warning label. I feel bad for everybody that took it, and I cannot tell you how many of my friends and family were convinced that they had to have it and they had to have boosters. And in my inner circle, when you have 6 to 10 people in your inner circle, highly unlikely that after a booster started coming up with different forms of cancer, let alone heart issues and things failing like their livers. And we're talking about perfectly healthy children and women, and they're under the age of 60. I don't even want to hear this. I'm glad they're coming out with this little tidbit of information, but I still think that this is one of the greatest cover-ups and biggest harms. And look what this, and I go back to this just being evil and demonic. Look who this is taking out, our young men.
Ooh.
This label is attached to young men between 18 and 24, and that is just as evil as I can think, because we have wiped out men in every capacity to remove them. And not only that, they're not even talking about the sterilization. There's other studies that are actually already authorized, proven, printed. They're just not having a big pep talk about it. They're just not televising it to say it affects our reproductive systems. And the left is all about the reproductive system. So what about getting these vaccines that are making it harder for young men and women to have children because of this? We know that the creator of this mRNA said it is not meant for this. It was never meant for a vaccine. Absolutely outrageous. I am so glad the Holy Spirit, for whatever reason, said no. I said no to my friends and family. I don't care. I'm not closing my business. I'm not forcing my employees to get it. And my sons and daughters will not have that. And they did not. Shame on them. There should be imprisonment. Fauci, as far as I'm concerned, a long time ago, I said this man's a mass murderer. He's been doing this overseas for a long time. He's been testing on humans for a long time. Where's the repercussions? I hope that this administration, especially with JFK Jr., gets into it and say, no, we have to remove the previous lies and the protection for the people that intentionally lied and covered studies. And they don't even have all the statistics because it was underreported.
Man, you gave me chills, Michelle. All this time, I have never connected that I knew that it affected men, young males, but the idea of it, that's, as a weapon, because weakening us by getting rid of our men makes a lot of sense. Wow.
I'm livid about it. I'm just, again, every turn they can, but this is spiritual. This was intentional. I'm not going to take back. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to take back what I said. Fauci and his New World Order friends, it was on purpose. They need to get rid of. And they say out loud their intentions for population control.
Right.
So the fact that we allowed, with our FDA and everyone else who's supposed to supervise, we have leaders in there that are part of this, that are evil. They're printed works. You can just go and read them and see their disdain for humanity and their own demonic need to control it, to destroy God's creation and God's purpose and God's intention. And they're coming at it from all angles.
Right. And they're still trying to hide this. They're still trying to keep the truth from getting out. In this next clip, this is RFK Jr. trying to explain to them how they covered this up, how Fauci and the rest of them were covering up and lying about the vax. And he's on an interview with Howie Mandel, and they're telling him he's not correct. This is clip 6.
They say what they're saying, out of 22,000 people, there was 1 COVID death among the vaccinated, and there was 2 COVID deaths on the unvaccinated. 22,000 people. So And that allowed them to claim it's 100% effective.
Effective for what? You can't use the word effective.
But you remember they kept saying it's 100% effective.
No, they just said it'll negate the severity.
If you go on the internet, you can see Tony Fauci.
But the word effective didn't say you won't get, I never heard you won't get COVID.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a different subject. But yeah, in fact, I saw a tape yesterday of them all, of Biden, Fauci, Gates, Burla, all of them saying, if you take the vaccine, Rachel Maddow, if you take the vaccine, you can't get COVID, you can't pass COVID.
I didn't see that.
Okay, well, you know what? Can I play it for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Here, it doesn't matter what Rachel Maddow says.
Wait. No. They didn't think he was going to say, he said, yes, I cannot play it for you. Wait. No, but we have it. This is it. Clip 7.
Not just protecting themselves, but reducing their transmission to other people and allowing society to get back to normal.
We can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
Getting vaccinated and getting a booster shot when eligible can save your life and protect you and your family and friends from getting seriously ill and spreading infection.
What do you think the probability is? 80%? Personally, I think it's 100%. I think that there's a reduction in transmission.
Right. COVID, if you have these vaccinations. We have all the vaccines we need. We just need our people to take it. A, for their own protection, for the protection of their family, but also to break the chain of transmission. You want to be a dead end to the virus. So when the virus gets to you, you stop it. You don't allow it to use you as the stepping stone to the next person.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus does not infect them, the virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this.
But when we looked at the emergency use authorization, which is right on the screen, if you look what it says under transmission, this is what was known the moment they were making those statements. Can I have the next slide, please? What was known was that the data are not there, limited to assess the effects of the vaccine against transmission of SARS-CoV-2. They had no idea. They had no idea if it would stop the infection, yet they were making those statements on the news.
Plus, the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market. If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to
Wow. They are such liars, folks. This was the biggest money grift probably of our lifetime. This was all about money. They were all in on it. They were getting paid to push the jab, and they wanted everybody to get it. Not only was it about money, but it was, as you mentioned, Michelle, to weaken the United States.
This was population control.
Right.
This was the greatest test that the world has seen in hundreds of years to see how quickly those in charge could control what they consider sheeple, the rest of us.
Right.
And that power, that control, and of course, when they got President Trump out of office so quickly, they had the green light. There was no red light. There was no yellow. There was no slow down. It was go. It was go time, and they did. And they pushed that. And for those of us who fought back, those of us who were able to not worry about their jobs, and I know they threatened people under everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They pulled jobs. They made you think you had to. Look at all the lies at the beginning. The clip with Howie Mandel, which just cracks me up. Stop coming at JFK Jr. as if he doesn't have facts. They come at him with stuff that he's like, I bet you don't know this. And he just sits back and he's like, well, actually, he knows what he's talking about. He's done the research. He's been battling this for years, but they are liars. They lied to us and they tried to see. And again, biblically, I was like, if this wasn't the greatest test of what the mark of the beast would be, that was a huge test. That's what I saw, because every nation was trying to force its people to bow. And you saw nations that were saying, no, we're not going to take the vaccine.
Right.
There were nations in Africa that banned Dr. Fauci, that said, don't come over here, and we're not taking it. And they didn't want to tell the American people that, but that's a fact, that they said, we're not only that vaccine, but others. And for the people, I've prayed for friends that took it. I had a lot of people, and I had to pray for them. But what a test. And the Pfizer, the companies that made multi-millions, billions of dollars, and the legislators who had interest in those vaccines, who became multi-millionaires because of their shares in big pharma, they should be prosecuted.
Oh, yeah.
They should be prosecuted.
Look, I mean, people, so many people, fell for the lies, and it was hard to push back against it. And even if you thought, even if you there was something in you, God was telling you, or you just had the notion that this was not something that would be beneficial, that the data was not adding up. Many people had to do it in order to keep their jobs. So, all we can do at this point is pray for our brothers and sisters that, felt like they had no choice. But now we know the silence from big media and big pharma was part of a larger deception to silence dissent, even when it costs lives. So as Christians, we must now lead in truth telling and medical discernment. We need to let everybody know, not blind trust in corrupt institutions, but let people know what's going on. And this is why we continue to talk about this. Get the word out, because Ephesians 5:11 says, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Expose them. So if we know now, you know better, you do better. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do.
And the churches as a whole, I see some of the comments going out. We had some comments about churches. I did have churches out here I attended that had vaccine setups. They announced at the beginning and afterwards that come on over here and we're going to get your vaccine and get your booster. And then they threatened people to show us your papers. I mean, what a communist playbook. Show us your papers to get into your restaurant. Show us your papers to grocery shop. Show us your papers to go to work, to get on an airplane. Show me your papers. I can't say it's never going to happen again, but not in this generation. We have to be ready and prepared. And the churches fell faster than some of the independent people that I ever saw. It was sad. And again, discernment. But God gave us an opportunity to see just how quickly power, corruption, and just demonic activity that was happening. And there was a setup for it. Again, we were sleeping. We've been sleeping on the job to see these. We don't get to see behind with the great and powerful Oz of big pharma, but we're ready for that now. So
I hope so.
Stay on your toes.
I hope so. But like you mentioned, the church really dropped the ball. They really did. Not only did they, they facilitated the push of this vaccine, but they closed down their door. Many churches would not stay open, but we had liquor stores and all these other places that stayed open, and the church closed their doors. Yeah. And so they really dropped the ball on this. Many people suffered for it. Not only did people pass away due to, this jab, but what about the people who, died from unaliving themselves and just experience all types of mental health issues? The young people, teenagers who were out of school and maybe and had no one to talk to, no one to play with, all of the learning loss that occurred. The church dropped the ball. And then that brings us to this next topic, Pride Month. So this is the final topic of the night. So I want you guys to take a look at this next clip where this gay news anchor, his name's Alex Armstrong, says it perfectly. Pride is unnecessary and does not benefit the gay community. This is clip 9.
things like Pride do the exact opposite to what Jonathan thinks they do. It turns people off. What I see when I see some of those Pride events is fetishes being displayed on street, men running naked around thinking that's acceptable when there are children walking around. It doesn't show anything good about the gay community. It stereotypes them, and there'll be millions of gay men, thousands of them watching tonight who'll go, actually, I don't want that representing me in this country. All right, talk about where that backlash has come from, because Jonathan's right, there is a backlash happening, and it is the fault of these far-left institutions like Stonewall that have pushed the agenda too far. They've advocated for puberty blockers for children, for example.
That's got nice to do with gay rights.
During the 2000s, gay rights was being relatively accepted. People had got over the whole fear of it all and moved on. The public had moved on and just gone, do you know what? We don't really care anymore. It's the assimilation argument all over again, isn't it? Do you want to be part of society, or do you want society to look at you and think you are different?
Wow. So he told the truth there. What are your thoughts on that exchange, Michelle?
I loved it. I love it. I have a couple of organizations. There's one that's called Gays Against Groomers and several others. You don't have to love the sin, but those in the community, especially that are speaking out, because he's right. What we saw with the Pride Month and the celebrations, especially in the White House with the Biden administration, when the person was exposing their enhanced breasts, they were a trans person, that was fetish month. That is exactly what it became, fetish and groomer month. And they've carried it on, and nobody was calling that out. And I saw parents bring kids to these events. And I don't care if you're in that community, your job is to protect the innocent, the innocent. And to have it displayed for everybody. And this month, I had a hard time. I, went to some shows in DC and some other areas, and I saw so many churches that were wrapped in the gay pride flag and had signs that said, his doors are open for everyone, and all of the pride stuff in front of the church's doors. My heart sank. It was sad. It was scary. It was awful. And every time I pass, I was like, Satan, you are lying. You are a liar. God will not be mocked. These churches have fallen. The nation bought into that. But again, I think we're seeing that we're in that 80-20%. That 20% was running rampant, and now we're done. And the Supreme Court is saying, and taking up some of these cases, even now, a new case that's saying enough's enough. You don't get to override thousands of years of human DNA, of basic humanity, to say that the transgender is some all of a sudden protected group that's been around forever. It's not. This has not been around forever. Pride Month has not been around forever.
Right.
We have to stop. We just have to stop it. Let people be. And he's right. That's what I loved about him. He was right. People were okay. We were letting kind of bygones be bygones. We're like, we're over it. Do what you do, but do it behind closed doors. We don't need to know about your kinks and all your things. We don't need to know about that. You don't need to know about all my sins. I don't need to know about all yours. Pray for each other, leave each other alone. But when you keep exposing it to people and forcing us to agree, we're not going to agree. And we're not going to back down. That's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not self-hating, this gentleman, Alex Armstrong. He's telling the truth. Pride has become a spectacle of perversion, not celebration of identity. Now, again, I don't agree with the lifestyle, but in the same way, it's sick. This is sick what we're seeing, and we had a video. I don't know if we're able to show that of a scene at one of the this year's Pride parades in, I think this was New York City, where this man, they're naked in front of children, in front of teenagers, young girls, young boys. And then the drag queens, kink displays, half naked adults, twerking in front of kids. It's not celebration. It's spiritual, folks. This is where we come back. It's spiritual and cultural degeneracy. Here it is. Look at that. He's naked. There's a dark spot over his private part.
Oh my Lord. I just noticed it. I was busy looking at the person.
He's looking, wants the little girl to touch it. It's terrible. This is what this is just one of many scenes of just all out perversity. It's just, it's awful. It's awful. But
Again,
if somebody, go ahead.
I'm looking at like there used to be. I'm going to say, just from the Christian perspective, there's never a time and a place, but there was a place, and you knew where to go and where not to go. I knew when I would go to Las Vegas as a kid, I went to Circus because my family's like, let's go see the circus. We went there. We knew not to hit the red light district. We knew where not to go. We knew not to go into the strip clubs. We knew there were age restrictions and you would be carded, and there was, appropriate, even if it's inappropriate, sinful behavior, it was a burlesque. It was behind doors. It was protected. The average person wasn't forced to see it. That is my issue. Right. This is America. There's freedom of speech. You're free to create a business, but that man should have been arrested. Right. And there were times where indecent exposure was a real thing. And what makes me angry is somehow Pride Month erased it. Right. Indecent exposure is an offense. And this guy is sick. That should not be okay. And we're encouraging it. And we got leftists like AOC protecting it for whatever reason. That's got to stop. Or we're never going to take you seriously. So for that community that's like, take us seriously, this is not the way to have us take you seriously. Who does this?
Yeah, well, we know that the children are the target. That's what it is. When we go back to what we were talking about earlier, that's another thing that was part of the communist manifesto and goals. It's to sexualize children. Yeah. And this is what we're seeing. It's this. What kind of society parades bondage gear, topless dancers, and fetish displays in front of kids? This is the target. The fact that major corporations and schools push this garbage shows how deep the rot is. So again, this is us Christians speaking out boldly against this. Love means telling the truth. We're not called to be silent. We're called to speak truth in love. And this is exactly what we're doing. And the church, as you mentioned, Michelle, must stop cowering and start calling pride what it is: a spiritual stronghold rooted in deception. That's what it is.
And they also need to call out sexual immorality, which they stopped doing. They understood that so many of us, including myself, I've told my story before, have fallen to sexual sins. I was a teenage mom. That was mine, for those of you who don't know my backstory. But overcome, it's amazing. My story is great. I'll share it another day. But they take that and then they've started bending the rules that Christ gave. And that was not what you do. You call it out anyways. So if somebody is sin or somebody's falling or somebody's dealing with addiction, you don't do what these blue cities like California is doing. You pop them full of drugs and you do it at the taxpayer's expense. I don't know if you've seen some of these laws and things being pushed. We'll give you the drugs because then we'll monitor your drugs. This is what we're doing for sexual immorality and within the churches. We're saying it's okay because God's going to forgive you. We're not going to call it a sin. We're not going to call it what it is. We want to make sure you know the God that makes you feel good, that loves everyone. He does, but he does not love sin. Right. Period. There's no discussion about it. There's no mincing words, scripture after scripture. Stop it. Tell the truth. Right.
You're right. Well, folks, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you all so much for watching with us. Oh my gosh. Michelle, what are your final words for the audience as we approach this 4th of July?
I'm so excited, and we're going to be entering into the 250th year. And guys, we're such a young nation still. We have a lot to learn compared to other nations, but I'm proud to be an American. And that's what I want people to remember. Tomorrow, when you're celebrating, be proud to be an American. Share it with the people that are out there protesting. Share it with the people that are looking sad. Share it if you know people at work. I thank people when they're at work on the 4th of July. I was like, I'm proud to be an American, and thank you for working on 4th of July. Just thank you. I'm excited. Share a smile tomorrow. Yo, patriots. We are patriots tomorrow, and I'm just proud. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Enjoy and be safe.
Absolutely. Yes. Tomorrow is our day. I mean, we are patriots, as you mentioned. And as we celebrate the 4th of July, the birth of this great nation, let's remember something. Freedom doesn't survive on autopilot. This is what we've been talking about. It takes courage, conviction, and people who fear God more than they fear the culture. We should put a shirt on. We should get a shirt like that. Fear God more than you fear the culture. Oh, we should do a shirt. That's going to be our first merch shirt. Yes. So again, right now, forces are working overtime to dismantle everything this country has built. Faith, family, and freedom. Even President Trump, they're working, folks. We got to constantly keep President Trump and his administration lifted up in prayer. Yes. Because the goal is to destroy America from within. This is what we've been talking about. But not on our watch. Not while we are at the door, not while the lions are at the door. So again, this 4th of July, don't just light the fireworks, light a fire under yourself. Not light a fire under yourself, but light your fire, like your spirit of fire. Speak truth and defend our values. So guys, again, please like this broadcast if you haven't done so already. Share it in a DM, put it on your social media. We want to get the subs up. We got to get to 5,000 subs by the end of the summer, and we can do it with your help and, of course, with God Almighty. So again, wishing you all a happy 4th of July. Take care. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Good night.